That was beautiful. That's a beautiful chant or a saying that we kind of, in my world, it has a lot of significance. And it's a reminder that everything turns, including the seasons and including our lives, including us. And today we're here to honor Litha and to talk about Litha. And I just wanted to share a little bit about me. My name is Celia. I am a Wiccan, which means that I follow the seasons and I look to the goddess mother of all there is as my brighter being, my higher power. And this time, in this time frame, I look towards the turning of the world and the turning of the seasons. And today we're talking primarily about Litha, but Litha's in the middle. And in my persuasion, in my life, I start off as lighting a candle at Yule, which is to me the beginning of the wheel of the year. And at Yule, we kind of come together on the longest night, the darkest time of the year, to light a candle of remembrance and to light a candle of respect and to light a candle to give light to the darkness. And as the years turn, we follow that candle light over to Ostara, which means the candle is getting a little bit brighter with the sun coming back. We follow it over to well, I missed a little bit. I missed Imbolc, which means the candle's getting back. But we get to Ostara, where it's the equal time of the year. The light and the dark is equal. And from Ostara, the light becomes more prevalent as we get to Beltane, to the blessings of the energy of the light, as the light gets brighter and brighter, to where we come to now to Litha, where the light is at its zenith. And at Litha, we have the longest day of the year where the light is more prevalent and we have the shortest night. But that longest day asks us to look for the truth in our lives. It shines a light to the truth of what we really truly believe and what we really truly want to have happen in our world. And Litha's light gives us information to kind of go into the darkness, because we know as at Litha, the light starts getting little and little, smaller and smaller, and we can either work to have that light grow and honor that light for its work that it's done, and we can honor the night as it brings in the rest and relaxation and renewal. So as we go from Litha, we go to the first of the 3 Thanksgivings, and that one is called Lunasaw in August, Mabon, when the light is equal again, in September, and then to Samhain, where the light is extinguished in October. And during that time between October and the light coming again in December is the time where we honor all that has gone on before us and their energy. And here at Litha, it's the light that is the most prevalent. And it's kind of interesting that a lot of the energy in the last couple of weeks have been about life and light being shined on things that are a little scary, things that are a little that were hidden before, and things that we need to kind of look at. So it's a time to gather that information in the light and honor it and work towards bringing in a better light, a more balanced light into the coming days. Now, as I was looking at, I'm really not somebody that gets up and talks in front of people. I like doing like intimate groups because I'm not so scared, but it's kind of scary to get in front of people and talk. But I was looking and kind of trying to see how I can connect what's going on right now with what is in our world as the light is shown. And we heard the Charge of the Goddess, which is a beautiful, beautiful poem, prayer, symbol of commitment that in my working that I use quite a bit, and it moves me to do a little bit better, to honor that energy of the goddess. But in the spiral dance, Starhawk wrote something that I thought was kind of prevalent today. Now, on this longest day, light triumphs, and yet begins to decline into the dark. The Sun King grown embraces the Queen of Summer in the love that is death, because it is so complete, all that dissolves into the single song of ecstasy that moves the worlds. So the Lord of Light dies to himself and sets sails across the dark sea of time, searching for the Isle of Light that is its rebirth. So that's the light kind of going in. And this is a time traditionally when everybody gets together to celebrate all the work that they've done throughout the year. It's really indicative of the end of summer, the beginning of summer time. The end of school is in May. The end of work is in May. You know, places are now more laxed in getting things done because it's a time to gather in everything that you worked on and gather in and ascend a little bit all the work that you've done. And that is symbolic in agricultural time. I grew up in Arkansas, so this is when we would have the big bringing in of the wheat, bringing in of the soybeans, working towards the first, around Lunasaw, we would have our country fair. That's when all the fairs are done. So Litha is the time where all the work of the planting has been done, and we sit back and wait to see what is grown from this. And I was trying to see. In ancient Greece, as benefits a fire festival, the summer solstice was a time when Titus Prometheus was said to have given the gift of fire to human beings, thus enabling them to go on and create civilized society. The goddess Athena was also considered to have solar attributes, and the Greek year began on the first new moon after the summer solstice. A holiday known as Panathenaea was held in her honor, and the people prayed to bring rain for the crops. So that's how we started off with doing this kind of idea of bringing everybody together to give thanks for all the things that have gone on before. So we have at this time kind of gotten away from the agricultural idea of the wheel of the year. So another way that we can honor this time frame of the light being the longest is to honor those who bring light and bring kind of a way of truth and say the things that need to be said. So during this time of Litha, it's a good time to kind of honor what you brought to the table and kind of go forth and give to others and shine a light of yourself to everybody else. So thank you for listening. And our next speaker is Arlene.
Good morning. Thank you everybody for coming. Firstly, I wanted to introduce myself since I haven't been able to talk to everyone here yet, even though my family and I have been coming for about 6 months. My name is Arlene, and my husband is Joe. He's a handsome man with the face mask right there. We've been married for almost 15 years, and nowadays I think that that's a considerable amount of time. It's not very easy. We have 4 beautiful children, and I know a lot of people always say that their children are beautiful, but ours are really beautiful. Our children's birthdays are in November, December, January, and February. So those months are pretty busy for us. As my husband mentioned last week during the Sunday service, he no longer has time to play video games like he used to. And I, on the other hand, have had time to do just that when my children were newborns. And this is a little anecdote. Almost every time one of our children were born, a new Call of Duty Black Ops game came out. I don't know if a lot of y'all know what that is, but it's a multiplayer first-person shooter game. And after my husband purchased the initial game, I was hooked. And the dishes didn't get done as promptly as they should have. I'm just going to say that. Sometimes I would actually pack up the kids and I would take my remote and my headset to my sister's house and we would game over there. And I knew that game in and out. And then I had another baby and the next game came out. And I remember thinking to myself, oh no, I'm going to have to learn a whole new set of maps, weapons, learn how to use the scopes and accessories and attachments all over again. And I had to adapt and learn new ways of doing basically whatever I had done before. It seemed very daunting at first, and I was totally lost and fumbling around with the new loadout of weapons and accessories. And sometimes, I hope it doesn't show much, but sometimes I can have a competitive streak. And on the Call of Duty online game, the matches, at the end of the match, there's a leaderboard that comes out. And you're scored, and the best ones are at the top. And the lowest ones are on the bottom for everybody to see. And it has their player names and statistics, and I wanted to be near the top of that leaderboard. And I became better. And next I wanted to be number 1 on my team. And I'm a female. And I was good, and I became number 1. And sometimes I was number 1 on my team and the opposing team as well. And that is a feat to accomplish with a bunch of 12, 13, 14-year-olds that can play all the time. So, in those wee hours of the morning, nursing my babies at 2, 4 a.m., gaming online, using the Bluetooth headset, it helped me release the frustrations of the evening, and it actually helped me get through those sleepless nights a little bit better. And then my babies grew, and they started sleeping through the night, and the gaming became a little bit less and a little bit less. Now, the latest game of the Call of Duty franchise is going to be released on October the 12th. It's called Black Ops 4. We will not be getting that game. Our PlayStation is currently out of commission due to our small babies feeding it too many quarters, nickels, and dimes. It is not working the way it should be. Now, in case the point of my anecdote didn't come across, the point of it is that we need to learn to adapt in order to move forward and achieve a goal or whatever it is that we want. And speaking of adapting, today's a pagan Thursday was a pagan holiday, and the majority of pagans did not start out in a pagan family or household. The majority of us were raised or started out with a different belief system than with what we have now. During that crossover, we had to learn to adapt to a new way of thinking, a new way of interacting with deity or the divine, and other ways that we were taught or grown up with initially. And that can be daunting sometimes. One of the reasons why I like being pagan is because it is very, very interactive, and it's a belief system that involves action, not just sitting in the passenger seat watching the scenery go by. Litha, which is on Thursday, for me is about action and a time when all of our planning and thoughts about whatever we want to do or accomplish is put into action or is coming to fruition. And there are many different ways to celebrate Litha, depending on what path you follow, or even just what you have on hand at home. Litha is a great time for healing and magic dealing with prosperity and growth. People can still light bonfires or their fire pits, and you can still toss herbs into the flames. You can dance, sing, or chant, whatever you want to do. Divination, you can do that as well. Not everyone will celebrate Litha the same way, and that's okay. It's okay to not perform ritual. It is okay to just enjoy the beauty of the afternoon, sitting on the porch, enjoying the breeze, or reading a book with some incense going. It's okay. Our plans for Litha were mainly going to be doing things outside, having ritual in honor of the Sabbath and enjoying a delicious dinner. And then the rain came, so that meant plans had to change. Then on Tuesday evening, part of our ceiling in the dining room den area basically collapsed or caved in or something. And so that meant, again, plans had to change. On Thursday, My husband had a doctor's visit that ran a little bit longer than we anticipated. And on top of that, he had to go to chemotherapy and various last-minute errands. So that meant, again, plans had to change. We have to learn to adapt to changes in life or changes in plans so we can get things done. On Thursday morning, when I woke up and I was laying in bed, I had this image in my mind of how the day was going to go. Litha was going to be rainbows in the sky and birds singing happily while my children and us were outside blowing bubbles and having them use chalk to write on the deck or write or draw a wish they wanted to manifest. And yeah, none of that happened. However, other things did happen. I'm going to share with you how we celebrated the day despite all the hiccups that had occurred, because nothing was going to stop us. Litha is all about, for me, celebrating the masculine part of the divine. And we celebrate God and the sun, so we try to incorporate things that are very vibrant and colorful. We originally were going to have ritual outside at noon, but we didn't have it till about 9 or 9:30 at night. Wednesday night, my daughter Zeta and I, we made ice cubes with fresh cut lemon wedges and blueberries to go with our fresh squeezed lemonade with lots of sugar. And our dinner consisted of something that I've never made before. It was Parmesan crusted chicken breast, fried in extra virgin olive oil. And yes, it was delicious. It came out good, so I was proud about that. Because we are always our worst critic, especially when it comes to cooking. And so for some reason, everybody else's food always tastes better than ours, right? We never give ourselves enough credit. So we also had fresh steamed green beans, and they were steamed in the microwave. Just let me clarify that. We had mashed potatoes. And I'm not going to lie, they tasted pretty good. They tasted homemade, but they were already packaged in a little container, and I just had to reheat that in the microwave. I didn't have time to make them and mash them and do all that. After dinner was eaten, we took out a roll of pre-made chocolate chip cookie dough from the refrigerator, and within 20 minutes, we had warm chocolate chip cookies. My mother was visiting us that day, and she loved dinner, but she was somewhat tired from keeping the kids out of the kitchen while I was cooking on the stove, and I really appreciated her help. While making dinner, the children were able to make drawings to put on our family altar for later. That evening, after cleaning the altar for a second time, due to the ceiling debris that had fallen, we had to decorate it again. And by this time, it was about 9 o'clock, and my husband and youngest child were in bed. My two daughters and I, we had moved the altar outside, and they helped me, set it up. And it was beautiful seeing the excited spark in their eyes because of something magical that was going to be happening, even though they didn't fully understand or grasp it. I explained to them that night was kind of like Father's Day for God. And we were honoring him in the best way we could with what we were given and with what we had. So they can kind of understand that concept a little bit. Our altar was set up with many things. Some of those things were a glass mason jar of sweet-smelling yellow roses from H-E-B, not from our lawn, because our roses, no, they weren't up to par, I guess. We had a red salsa bowl of freshly collected rainwater because we had so much rain, right, so we could save it for later. We had a tray of 9 tea light candles that were poured with gold glitter on it because we didn't have any yellow or gold candles and I wanted gold. And of course, glitter makes everything look prettier. So my daughter Lily proudly placed her butterfly and sun drawing on the altar to show God what she had made for him. The incense made the air smell musky, yet sweet. And I lit a plain white pillar candle. That way my daughters could roast marshmallows and not be bored while Mommy was doing ritual. And yes, I used my phone to play music so we could sing along to. Afterwards, that's my son. Afterwards, I realized that if we didn't live in the time that we currently do, almost none of this would have come to fruition. It's so easy to take for granted the fact that we can go to the store for meat, poultry, fruits, and vegetables. Almost everything can come in a neat, clean little package for us already. We have refrigerators to keep things cool and freezers to store things for a longer amount of time. Microwaves can heat food up in minutes. We can just turn on the stove and bam, there's a fire already. Some days leading up to the Sabbath, I was tired from feeling the stresses of everyday life, which a lot of you can relate to. I wasn't sure in the week leading up to it, I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to celebrate Sabbath or not with everything that was going on with the ceiling and just a lot of stuff. Then I realized that not everyone has lived in a time or in a place where even if they wanted to celebrate, that they could. So I decided that we were going to celebrate for those who were not able to or are not able to do so. On Litha, we may not have had bubbles and rainbows or birds serenading us with their melodic song. What we had was a good dinner. We were actually able to celebrate the Sabbath, and our humid air had a decent breeze going on, and we were able to hear the frogs singing their lullaby to the nighttime sky. Even though the day didn't go according to plan, what we had was good enough. So now in closing, I'm going to read a piece written by Scott Cunningham. It can be used to meditate upon or as a devotional, and it's about God. It's called The Call of God. I am the radiant King of the heavens, flooding the earth with warmth and encouraging the hidden seed of creation to burst forth into manifestation. I lift my shining spear to light the lives of all beings and daily pour forth my gold upon the earth, putting to flight the powers of darkness. I am the master of beasts, wild and free. I run with the swift stag and soar as a sacred falcon against the shimmering sky. The ancient woods and wild places emanate my powers, and the birds of the air sing of my sanctity. I am also the harvest, offering up grain and fruits beneath the sickle of time, so that all may be nourished. For without planting, there can be no harvest, and without winter, no spring. Worship me as a thousand-named son of creation, the spirit of the horned stag in the wild, the endless harvest. See in the yearly cycle of my festivals of my birth, death, and rebirth, and know that such is the destiny of all creation. I am the spark of life, the radiant sun, the giver of peace and rest, and I send my rays of blessings to warm the hearts and strengthen the minds of all. Thank you, and blessed be.